This is the Transparency Podcast Show with hosts Shelby Chang and Michelle Herman from Long Beach, California, where we bring you life transformation stories, business, investment, personal development, entertainment, and more.
We are going to talk about the background of our show, how they come about, and what inspired us to do this show. And plus, we have our in-house guest, the owner of Podcast Place in Long Beach, Solomon Daniels.
Hello. Our producer.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, he is awesome. He's LGBT friendly, and he really cares about the people who comes in to create the show and the creator. He spent times to learn about you, learn about your stories. So, first of all, I'm gonna thank our listeners and audience to support our shows. We got a lot of good feedback.
Yes, we're getting great feedback.
Yes,
Thank you so much.
And also thanks for all the guests, because without them, this show won't happen.
It'd be much more boring.
Yes, so we encourage you to follow us, subscribe to us, and also maybe if you have any question, you can always comment in the comment, like YouTube or Apple Podcasts, or you can email us or leave a message in our social media, because we're going to answer all those questions on the show, maybe monthly. Sure. So we want to have a participation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
And then we also going to have newsletter.
Yes.
So what are we going to have in the newsletter, Michelle?
We are going to highlight different features that maybe our guests talk about. It's going to things happening in our community, what's going on with us, what are our plans for the show.
Yeah.
And so we just want to, really, it's all about community building. And this is why I was excited to kind of come along on your vision, because I'm about building our community, and just to see how that's been happening through your vision of the show has been amazing. So
yeah. And then, stay till towards the end of the show, because we're going to have a giveaway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our first giveaway.
Yeah. So,
but it won't be a brand new car.
So I want to kind of give a background of how this show come about. As many people probably knew, I'm a film, TV producer and maker in the past, and I study communication art in college, which including radio is part of the major. However, during that time, my English was really bad. I'm not comfortable talking, public speaking, especially English. So I didn't really take any radio course.
Oh,
I skipped radio course. I only concentrate on film and TV.
Okay.
So years ago, after I transitioned, I made a movie, LGBT love stories, and then involved with some shows as an actress, modeling. So it was fun. So after I done that, and then I still have this back of my mind. I say, oh, maybe I should do more, like do a radio show of some sort, or podcast. So one of my friends, he has a show at that time.
Okay.
So he has this like equipment in his house. Okay. So I was like, okay, maybe I can do a show with him or something. But this is years ago. That probably like 6 years ago. Okay. I'm in the middle of transitioning. I'm not really full time yet, per se. Yeah. So during that time, I reached out, but long story short, and then he sold his equipment because he's moving. So,
oh wow.
Yeah. So I was saying, oh well, okay. So life move on. So I came about this idea again around 2020, which when we have COVID.
Good old COVID.
Yes, because I'm, everyone sitting at home, nothing to do, and everything. So that's the time when I start feeling that, okay, I should maybe start doing podcasts, thinking about podcasts again.
Yeah.
And at the same time, because we have a lot of time at home, so I started learning a lot about business, about personal development. And then it hits me because I realized personal development is part of life transformation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So have you ever experienced that, like when you like when you're not sure, you kind of afraid. It's all it's all about, in your head.
Right.
But
exactly.
if you like the example I'm giving, I'm not comfortable public speaking in English, but I overcome to do podcasts.
Yes.
So that will.
And you do amazing.
Thank you with your help. So what I'm trying to say is so 2020, and then I reached out to another friend that she some sort had a business background, because I wanted the show to be about life transformation and also related to personal development and business,
right.
because that will encourage people, trans community, to do more business,
right.
because we often get discriminated
exactly.
from employment and all that.
Right.
Yeah. So, and then, like I said before, I feel lonely without knowing anything. There's no trans colleagues in the business.
Right.
And by doing this show, I reach out, I expand my contact, my network.
Right.
Yeah. So what happened is the person that I was reaching out in the beginning, it didn't work out, which I didn't give up, because originally we were supposed to start in January of this year, 2022, right. But we delayed it until March because of that reason. But I didn't give up, and luckily I met Mashup, and we hit it off. And she's, sharing with me her business trend zone, and that's perfect, aligned to what my vision is for the show. And she also connect with me with many different business owner, trans community people. Yeah. So that's great. That's where I come about. And also I want to mention Solomon, because originally we were planning to do the show our own, like recording, recording the audios, and that's kind of crazy and dangerous,
right?
But my business mindset kicks in. You know how we are. We should always delegate out to people who's more professional in their field, instead of spend time and delay the process.
Right, exactly.
So that's how I feel about this show, and that's how I inspiring to do. To tell stories, because everybody's story is amazing, and it really inspired me as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I always say all stories matters.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's how I came about, doing this show.
And it's funny because I never saw myself doing a podcast. I don't like my voice. I don't, like appearing in front of camera.
Yeah.
And just the hassle of it, all the equipment, and so that's why. We were just talking about on the way here today of Shelby reaching out to Solomon and being the first one that she contacts, because that happened to be relatively close to us.
Right.
And to be able to have this as a resource, and it's just elevated what we're trying to do so much. You can imagine if we're in my little studio apartment or your apartment, and trying to sit on the bed
they're going to see my bed in the background.
Right, exactly.
Professional. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But going back to building community, I think in some ways our community is very strong. In other ways, there's a lot of opportunity to grow. There's still competition and infighting and comparison, and we all have to work through. But the more that we as a community can build into each other, get to know each other, work together, collaborate on projects, the more that we'll take care of our own and show a light of what our community really is about. Our community is about survival and growing and thriving and becoming who we're meant to be.
Yes. Yeah. Because like the example I give, a lot of time no matter if it's personal relationship or business career, we always gonna hit a wall.
Yes.
Eventually. So, and what do you do when you hit the wall is the most key point.
Right. Exactly.
Because people can just give up or just forget about it. Even including transitioning.
Sure.
We're gonna hit like personally, I hit a wall when I transitioned, when I my last job, they let me go, but actually I was happy because I wasn't fully out, to be myself yet. But when they let me go, I feel relief. I was happy.
Yeah, it worked out in the long run.
Yes.
Still challenging though, because you had to figure things out. And what were the next steps?
Yes. And so I did Ubering. I did Lyft for about a year or so, just to have some, bill to pay
somehow,
and all that.
exactly.
Yeah. And then I did some home care, like taking care of people.
Okay.
Yeah. And that really changed my view, because at that time I was a little depressed. You know how we always are depressed. And at that time, because my relationship was not working.
Yeah.
So I was depressed, and I went to a very downhill in my life.
It was very difficult. Yeah.
Yes. And with those home care, I came across many different people with different difficulties in their life, physically, health. Okay.
Right.
When I look at them, when I, interact with them, it reflect back to me, look at myself like, oh, my problem is not really a big deal. So,
it's inspiring to see all the things they have to face.
So that's why I was like, I hit a wall, but I was like, don't know how to get back up. Mm-hmm. And those people somehow invisibly helped me to heal. And then,
that's beautiful.
And then it made me realize my pain, my experience wasn't as bad as theirs. So why am I crying?
Right.
Feel sorry for myself for. So oftentimes we put ourselves as a victim. That's another.
Right.
Yeah.
And people are doing such inspiring things in order just to survive that, we can learn and grow from that. So that's a great example.
Yes.
And it's a beautiful how you internalize that and use that for your own personal development.
Yeah. So how about you? Do you have anything like life-changing moments that makes you
Yes,
move forward?
There may be a few. Definitely, so far, the biggest change in my life has been transitioning and coming into the fullness of who I always knew who I was. And it's funny because my wife, when we first got married, called me emotionally illiterate, which was pretty accurate at the time. And now I was actually just talking to a friend yesterday about the ability to handle multiple emotions at once, even they're good and bad, and the personal development I've had and growth through my own transition and through relationships with others. Of course, you like you said, you pick up and you learn things from others around you.
Right.
But to see the more complete, the fullness person I am, and that definitely affects business as well, because I'm able to go in and out of circles much more readily. I'm still introverted, of course, but it's much easier to be who I am.
Right.
And of course, we always have are we accepted? What is this community? Is this a safe place for me? What's going on behind the scenes? But and I talk about this a lot, the ability to walk in authenticity is priceless.
Yes.
And so that for me has been so affirming, life affirming, and inspired me in so many different ways. And to invest in the community that has indirectly invested in me and in very practical ways, even saved my life to see what the future could be.
Yes.
And so I know some people have difficulties with showing before and after pictures, and I do as well. I tried to do it because I know what it meant to me when I was, or before I transitioned, and knowing that there is hope and man, HRT actually can work. And so things, but it is inspiring to know the journey that we've been on and then follow through and see the growth of what's happening.
Yes. See, when you mentioned about the before and after picture, I post one for myself too. I wasn't comfortable. So especially, I did not have a lot of photos during my previous life. I don't like to take pictures. There's no selfie whatsoever.
Exactly.
But the thing is, like you mentioned, let's say we share that on social media. You will never know who's watching. Right. You will never know who's looking at it or listening to it. And because throughout my 10 years, I did movies, I did this and did that. There's many times that people come to you, oh, I saw you do this. Yeah, I saw you do that. Right. And you kind of help me. It's very, I don't know, it makes me feel touching.
Right.
In a way, because I'm just doing what I like, passion,
right, exactly,
and share my own stories or my vision. And if I can impact other people or impact the world, why not?
Totally.
Right?
Give back to what's been given to us. Yeah, I'm out specifically because probably 99.9% of the people in my old life knew nothing or very, very little about trans people or even not known a trans person.
Right.
And so knowing that even if relationship is not there, if I was able to be visible and they can kind of see the journey, maybe it'll normalize it for them a little bit. And even what if one of their children come out as trans or LGBTQ in the community? And so hoping to bring awareness and helping them to see it's not something with just men dressed in dresses, walking through the library in the afternoon, but it is, and we learn science. We've learned so much more about gender being a spectrum, and some people call it a universe. But just normalize and legitimize our existence, and being out there and telling our stories is important.
Yeah, I think majority people are not understanding or doesn't know anything about it. It creates fear or afraid or misunderstood.
Exactly.
So that's why they have a rejection.
Exactly.
So that's why these kind of experience visibility is very important.
And that's not to say we want to be sure that we're covering all our bases. If someone's stealth, which is the term, if they are more to themselves, a lot of people don't know that they're trans, or maybe even anyone. And that is completely valid and legitimate, because you need to make your own decisions where you are in life. And if the environment you're in is safe for you, is it a place where you can blossom and develop more?
Right.
So everybody's journey is different, even though there's so many similarities. Everybody's journey is different.
Right.
For me, it was more of a cognitive choice to be fully out and vocal. But some people don't have that ability, and that's fine. That's completely valid.
Yeah, so I heard a lot of actually amazing story during COVID, and I know a lot of people suffer. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but out of that, I heard a lot of positive impact. Personally, because I started having a lot of time at home. I started reading books. I started watching other people's YouTube or even listen to other people's podcasts. That's why I came about to do this show.
Yeah.
And so, and I have a new morning routines and daily life routines because of COVID. Yeah. And then and business wise, it's also because of COVID. Right. And you transition.
Yes.
Came out because of COVID.
Well, I would have anyway, because I started January 5th of 2020, not knowing what the year was going to be.
Right. Nobody knew.
But it was definitely, especially working as a social worker in a community health clinic, I was directly relating with patients and even visiting them and, helping going on appointments with them. So that was my biggest fear, is how will my patients relate to me during transition? Right. And so, but COVID made that very easy because everything became virtual. Yes. And then wearing the masks definitely helped, and especially those few days before electrolysis, to cover things up is very helpful.
Did you wear any heels or walking around like Carrie?
A little bit. I am not as good as Carrie from episode 2.
Yeah. Well, Carrie share the link down there so people can rewatch.
Right, but I did a little bit, yes.
Yeah, because I think it's funny. High heel is part of the transitioning somehow from male to female.
Yes.
Yeah, because
that's kind of a stereotype that we would all long to do in my past life. Like, I love to wear heels.
So COVID changed my life actually in a positive way. And without COVID, I don't think I'd be sitting here doing this show. Yeah, to be honest with you. Yeah. So, and business wise, did COVID change your business?
Yes, I definitely took advantage of the time. I really love the people and the patients that I worked with a couple exceptions. There was a few people that were not my favorite to work with. And actually, one of them made me cry. And it was the first time I cried in probably 15 years or something. And I couldn't stop. And it was one of those ugly cries. But taking that opportunity to start my own businesses was scary, especially when I'm trying to cover the mortgage of my family home and my rent and everything. But definitely taking the opportunity to learn and grow, like you said, watch a lot of things. You have much more time, specifically for that you need to fill. That I learned. And so taking the opportunity to kind of ideate through the process of starting Transowned and now Flourish Social, definitely it was beneficial.
I'm like you too. At the same time, I learned that it's okay to have multiple stream of incomes.
Yes, right.
Because growing up, we just learned, go get a job, one job,
exactly,
and then make a lot of money.
Right.
But in today's world, everything is so uncertain.
Right.
You especially for us, you never know what happened.
Right. Like your job, you weren't even out yet, but they still.
Yeah, I was about to come out.
They still laid you off.
I don't know why, but up until today, I don't know the real reason.
Yeah.
The reason I was giving is we need more sales-driven people. And I've been there for 6-7 years. Yeah. If I'm not sales-driven,
and you're now a real estate agent. And so
if I'm not sales-driven, then what it is?
Exactly.
Anyway, so you start a lot of different business, and so do I. Have real estate. Yeah. I have a VA, virtual assistant. I also have health and beauty, skincare products.
Exactly.
So different revenue. So I think that's a very good. And I also continue create contents, media. Yeah. And the goal hopefully one day
LGBT
love stories will be streaming. That's still my goal. And I owe to all the cast and the crew because they put in their effort, their talents onto the film.
Right.
So,
and if you want to see Shelby's show, you can look it up on YouTube and see her in action. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So it was great. It was really fun to watch you in that environment. But you're right. We live in such a time where it's not as difficult as it used to be to start things.
Yes.
Like I was able to, for $300, buy some software, basically code that I was able to plug in and create mycitymaps.co, and where you can customize maps. And so, without a lot of capital, and also without a lot of capital right now that I need to market that, but it's not that difficult. And we encourage our show, especially because of our community being so having a hard time in many cases with employment and unemployment and underemployment, that you can branch out and do things. And so we want to be an encouragement for that as people seek that.
Yes, a lot of business, I just want to give little tips. A lot of business doesn't involve money upfront.
Right, exactly.
For example, the skincare that I'm doing.
Yes.
If you guys interested, I can leave a link down below. But,
good stuff.
You don't have to have inventory.
Right.
And the website is provided to you for free.
Right.
And then, we have people coaching you, show you the road, and it's all free.
So, exactly.
Yeah. And then all you have to do is be on social media and promote, and that's it.
Right.
And same thing with affiliate links.
Yes.
You don't need any upfront money.
Right.
And you just need to be you, actually, on social media.
Right. Exactly.
And then talk about products.
Right.
Yeah. So there's always a way, because a lot of time people focus on problems, not solutions.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That's why
exactly. It's important to learn the pain points that you're trying to provide resources for, but focus on the results. Focus on the solutions.
How to. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so I want to ask Solomon, how did he start this podcast place?
This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
Well, the story is sort of similar. I've actually been in PR and marketing since 2010. Before that, I was an editor for a magazine. And one of the things that I was doing here that I liked, I mean, I really enjoy the business. The issue is, you sit in this office by yourself, you work with people remotely, your clients are remote, everybody's remote, and you got this vibrant neighborhood, and you look outside, you see everybody walking by, and you realize, I don't interact with the neighborhood at all. I don't interact with anybody. So COVID hit, and like it's just been this ongoing theme that you're right, despite the travesty and loss of life and all of the terrible stories that has happened, it was really time for reflection, right?
Yes.
I mean, people, if you think of working as swimming and like just constantly like you got your head down, COVID gave you a chance to sort of look up and reassess your direction,
That's right.
And I think for me, it was sort of that same thing. I had started to put together a little bit of a multimedia section in my office, for my clients to introduce new products or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And I thought, what if I use this to interact with my community? And, lots of people were coming in and they were doing, that you hear they're doing their podcast at home, right? You go to Best Buy, you can't find a webcam anywhere, right? Because they're either doing podcasts or they're doing Zoom or whatever. And so there was always this question of, would people be willing to now come into a slightly better environment and do it here and pay for that? And so it was a chance I took. So I invested heavily in equipment. I didn't go cheap. I put a lot into this.
Top of the line stuff.
Very, very professional.
Thanks. Yeah.
It gives us a production value.
Oh my gosh.
I put a lot into the audio. I learned a lot. And I made some mistakes. And, my first client was these 4 kids who came in and they said, one of the guys called me and goes, "Hey, I want to do a podcast with my 4 friends." And I go, "Well, I'm sorry, I can only fit 2 people." Because that was, I thought, most podcasts are 2, It's 4 of us. I want to do a podcast with my 4 friends. And he was just so insistent.
Oh,
and I said, okay. So he came in, I met his 4 friends. They were all high school seniors and they wanted to do a podcast called 4 Teens for Change. And the podcast was helping these, high school kids sort of, figure out high school and give advice on different things.
Cool.
And so I said, okay, well, you know what? I'll make you a deal. Well, I'll make you a double deal. I'm going to figure out a way to accommodate 4 people, and I'm going to charge you guys $40 to do the podcast.
Okay.
But with that $40, you're going to allow me to make mistakes. So it's sort of like getting your haircut at barber school. And
right.
so, we went through a lot of different things, and, and the kids were great. And, and I, they come in and we would try different things and it wouldn't work out and blah, blah, blah. And so I was able to set up different things. And so it really helped evolve the system. The other thing it helped me evolve was a system by which when clients would come in and say, "Hey, it would be great if we had this," you can really evaluate and say, well, yeah, maybe we should add that if it benefits everybody. So slowly the whole thing sort of starts to come together.
Yeah. Can we get a phone stand?
Yeah. And see, there you go. The phone stand. It's like, I need an extra one. Okay, so now we got 2.
Right.
So really, it was really that evolution. And I'll tell you this, honestly, I mean, you make more money doing B2B, working with big companies. I mean, it's just how it is. You get retainers. And I always joke with people, this business model is a little bit different because you're dealing with individual podcasts. They pay per thing. So every day you're doing something. So it's sort of like I went from working at a law office to working at a liquor store now. It's like they're both good businesses, but it's just a different model, right? I mean, one, you got 5 or 6 customers paying you larger money, and the other, you got, lots of smaller customers paying you smaller bits more frequently.
So hopefully we're not the winos hanging out front.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, get out my store. But yeah, it's been probably the most fulfilling thing that I've done.
Wow.
I've always been driven by helping people and knowing that what I do makes a difference. That's always been my thing. And so to see those 4 kids now, they came in 2 weeks ago. They did their podcast. They're all graduating. They told me 2 of them going to UC Berkeley, one's going to San Diego State, and I think one's going to UCLA. And it just makes you proud because you saw the evolution. While they're coming here, I have time to coach them, talk to them about life and things like that, and you're happy for them. And so there's a story like that with everybody, person who comes in, including you guys. I mean, it's not, and I tell people when they come in, it's not about me renting you space. It's me understanding what your values are, what your missions are, what your goals are, and then helping you achieve that. And, adding my insight, my marketing expertise, my presentation expertise along the way.
Yeah, Solomon created our logo.
Yeah.
I was telling him this morning, there's not too many logos that I like that I didn't create, but I really like ours.
The logo was a bit of an accident.
Yeah.
A good accident.
Yeah. When I first time walks in here, and he really sat me down and really asked me what I want to do. You know, try to learn what I need and what I've tried to achieve. So that's very different from any kind of business, because a lot of business just money, cash to change.
Right. Yeah.
And then and what you mentioned earlier is the process is the value, you know, because like those 14s, you guide them from here to there.
Right.
So in the between, the process is what's the value is.
Right. Yeah. And I really want to be able to, like, you know, for me, and it all started when I met a lady. I was walking the neighborhood, this beautiful neighborhood here in California Heights, you know, all the old houses. And I saw a lady doing gardening. We started to talk and everything. And she was obviously a lot of expertise. And she mentioned, she goes, yeah, I always wanted to start a podcast, but. And I've heard that so many times, the but. And the but usually is followed by, I don't know where to start. I don't know what equipment to buy, blah, blah, blah. You know, I wouldn't know where to do it, you know, lighting, this and that.
Yes.
And my thought was, what if I could take all of that away? What if you as a creator could come in and just sit down and just create and then leave?
That's what
and
you did.
Everything else is handled, you know, and you get your footage the next day, and it's not this big process, and it's all ready to upload, like ready to go.
Yes.
Exactly.
You know, not this
Which is
big,
amazing.
Yeah, not this big post-production. And then the other thing too is I didn't want to price out young creators. I mean, I looked at some of the models in LA and things like that. I mean, for what you do here, I think it's like probably $350 an episode. And, you know, I wouldn't be able to get any young people. I'd be back to the same old B2B thing, you know? And so I wanted to price it in a way where you can come and start at a thing and sort of grow as the show grows. And it's been fun because, you know, like I said, from talking with you guys, talking with all of the other shows, we have about 24 shows now, starting from that one, you know, and I started this in June. And I've just evolved the business. You know, you add on services that make sense, that stay within your area of efficiency, but give you a higher level of customization for every client. And I think it's a pretty balanced model.
Just as something as simple as changing the curtain behind us. You know, we have choices.
It's called tweaking and pivot.
Yeah. So that's a funny story too, because I had a client said, you know, I call them the nuns, right? They're coming and they do a podcast called Whole into the Full, and it's a pretty successful podcast. And they wanted to do white curtains because they talk about, you know, religion, God, and they felt it went with it. And so I said, okay, I'll buy white curtains because I figure other people may want white curtains too. So first time I had to transition and take the gray ones off. I take it down, I pull the thing apart, and I'm, you know, trying to put the curtains on, trying not to get the white ones dirty, trying to get everything wrinkled. And it was a mess. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go to Target and just buy another curtain rod. And so now I just take the whole rod down, I store it in the back, put a whole rod up, and it's like a 5-minute process. And so now I can do the white, the red, or gray, you know. So just those little efficiency tweaks, you know, make it possible to give people custom, but still run the business with a flow, you know.
So obviously we're big fans of Solomon and the podcast place here. So if you're in Southern California and need a place to shoot anything, we highly recommend this. But also, he was talking the other day about franchising. And so maybe if anybody's out there that's interested in setting something up like this, you can really come and work with Solomon, and he'll for a charge. For a franchise fee.
I think Michelle just became my agent. I think so.
Yeah, okay, then I'll take a 5-year fee.
After this podcast, you and I need to sit down and start to do some planning.
No, but I mean, this is such a service, and more and more people. Again, it was never really on my radar to do a podcast, but because of the hassle primarily. But a lot of people are talking about this, and even in our community, it's important for us to get our message out. We see all these, we talked about it before on different episodes of the legislation that's happening against us, trying to unalive us, to make us extinct. But we're not, and we're not going to go anywhere, and we won't be erased. And so the more that we can share our voice, because our voice is important and our voice adds to our society, our world here. We definitely I think I'll speak for Shelby. We definitely would recommend, getting your voice out there, even if you don't like your own voice and you don't think you're like me, great on front of camera, but it's important that we speak up.
Yeah. And also I want to point out is a lot of people also afraid of going to start a business because budgets or anything related. And what Solomon says, it's okay to not be perfect in the beginning.
Right.
Like our show is not perfect in the beginning, but we do a little tweaking, little pivot. The most important thing is starting.
Yes.
That's including that's
Absolutely.
also related to life transitioning.
Right.
If you don't start, you'll never know what happened.
Exactly.
If you gonna hide in the closet per se, for whatever reason, then you will never know what will happen. And a lot of people give excuses like Solomon used, but
Right.
So that also, it's not a good thing to do. So so our show here is to encourage you guys, and hopefully, if you guys have any question, maybe you want to ask about how she start her business, or how we start our shows, or whatever.
Exactly.
We can reach out to us, email, social media, and we will have links down below again. And also, if you think our show has value, message, or even Solomon's production value, you can support us, sponsorship. We also, everything is welcome, or even just a coffee for three of us, So I'm going to provide a link down below, check it out. And we're going to have a newsletter link down below too. And what else am I missing?
The newsletter we talked about, and the buy a coffee. And so,
I'm drinking coffee.
Exactly. But back to the building community, and your voice is important. Your message is important. No matter what stage you're in, if you're trans, if you're cis, if you're in the LGBTQ community, your voice is important. So don't be afraid to stand out and stand up and let your voice be heard. And again, we always say, make sure the environment around you is safe and that you're being taken care of mentally and physically. But you matter, and we want everybody to know that.
Yeah. And last thing, Solomon, do you have anything to say lastly before we mention about the giveaway?
Oh, no.
Franchise at podcastplace.com.
I'm always learning, always growing. So, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to be excited to tell you guys about something new I've added probably. But, thanks for the time for letting me sort of describe. This is, me, I'm all about your branding, right? It's like, this is not about me, it's about you.
Yes.
And so I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Yeah. But you're a good example of how to start a business and systematize and figure out your operation as you go along.
Yeah.
Is key learning for all of us.
She's a businesswoman. She's located in Long Beach, California. I recently get to meet her in person, and we head off right away. We have similar mindset, and we have similar transitioning journey. So today she's going to be here to share her transitioning stories with you and her business trick and tips with you. Welcome to the show, Michelle.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah. So let's start off to share with the audience, like when and how did you realize that you're not living as your true self?
Right.
Yeah.
I have memories back to age 4, and there's actually pictures of me wearing my grandmother's makeup around. And so there's memories throughout childhood, and that was one of the ones that kind of helped me realize something was there. I struggled all through elementary school and junior high specifically. And I grew up in a Christian fundamentalist home. And so there wasn't even an environment to talk about stuff like this. I knew those people were bad or wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I just buried it. I just pushed it deep, lost myself in school and in sports, and then college, and then ultimately work. I went into full-time ministry right out of college. I met my wife previously on a missions trip to New York City. Okay. And I just hid. I joined the ministry, stayed busy, and just hid.
So did your wife discover your true self?
Yes, I talked to her, whatever words I knew at the time. We talked before we were married, and I told her there was something there. And of course, I thought being married would cure me. And so
Yes, that's
it
applied
actually
to a lot
did
of
not.
people.
And so she knew we talked about it on and off. For a while, once I stayed busy, especially early in our marriage, I was able to kind of keep it at bay a little bit, but there was always this underlying anger and frustration and resentment that I at that time did not know where it came from.
So what about when you grow up, like when you're in the schools, did you like bully, like when, if you look, do you look like more
Yeah,
femme
no,
in a
I don't think
way?
anyone would have.
Or do you try to be in a sports, try to
Yes,
hide
yeah.
yourself like
I
that?
remember my freshman year of high school making the decision to play freshman football, trying to be like a boy, trying to be a
Yeah,
man.
okay.
And I knew that's what it was also something the popular people do. And so
Yes,
it wasn't anything that I did because of myself. It was because of trying to distract myself or hide, and actually both. And so I got really good at that. I got good at playing the game. I got really good at religion and staying busy. I realized different stages as I went through that, trying not to be too competitive.
Yeah.
And so all these layers began to peel off. And I was directing our team here in Los Angeles of about almost 30 people.
Okay.
And I started to basically go through what felt like a nervous breakdown. I was really busy raising support for our nonprofit. And it got to the point where I couldn't do much anymore. And so we went through a process of delegating all my tasks. And I took a sabbatical to raise my own support as well. And I went through about 3 to 4 months of not being able to get out of bed.
Wow.
And realizing for the first time what depression really was, even though I probably always had it.
Right.
I really understood what it was. And went to a counselor that was defined to me as a life coach, which I felt good about that. The first time that we saw each other, he called me a fraud and a fake.
My God.
And that my wife is scared to death. And basically he was right. I was just a facade. I was just doing everything on the outside.
Yes.
Inner life was pretty much hollow cardboard. And I didn't have much depth of the relationships. And so that began the process through counseling of, still in counseling over 15 years, but began to really look at myself and address myself. And probably about a year or so into therapy, I actually got the courage and maybe the conviction to tell my counselor, there's something here about my gender that I'm struggling with. And I was very scared to even present it. He actually kind of looked like Wolfman Jack from the old school Newsdays radio. And he was very gruff. He would get on his little ottoman and stand and yell at me, kind of mimicking my dad to kind of help me work through some of those things. And so it wasn't a touchy-feely counselor, but it worked. And it really helped me dig deeper and find out what was going on.
So recently we heard about a governor or some sort of government personnel criticize that we're not permanent.
Right.
What do you think about that?
Yes. It's a shame that so much litigation is going through the states right now, especially states like Texas and Alabama and Idaho, where there's just such ignorance to what is really happening. And I can understand that perspective because for a lot of my life, that's what the perspective I took because I was fighting myself.
Yeah.
And so I can understand that, and coming from a evangelical background, I can understand that, but it's based so much in ignorance. And if they knew the reality, and if they knew what trans people really go through, if they knew that we are our own hardest enemy or our worst critic, and there's no one that's going to be more of a critic than I am to myself.
Yes.
But understanding that we have a lot of work to do. And as a community, we have a lot of coming together and to support and build into each other, because if we don't do it, who will?
Yeah, that's very true. So let's kind of switch back to your personal story, your life.
Yeah.
So did you have kids or children?
I do. I have 2 children.
So how do they react to your transition?
Yeah. It kind of came down where in probably from 2016 to 2019 was probably some of the most difficult times. I was really dealing with suicidal ideation. And I remember a September evening, a Saturday night. I was in bed with my wife,
Okay.
and I just said, I have to transition. I can't keep doing this. For the last probably 8 years prior to that, I was going to therapy to not transition.
Yes.
And because I would lose my wife, I would lose my family, I'd lose my ministry, my nonprofit career.
Right.
And I mean, she understood. She knew that she didn't want it, and she knew that she wouldn't be with me if I did. And I knew that. But I couldn't just fake it anymore. I couldn't hold it in. I actually planned out my suicide. And so it scared me enough because I know my son has some tendencies with mental health like I do. Yes. And so I didn't want to kind of create any pathway for him either. So I stayed at home with my family from September 2019 through the end of the year. Okay. And then I moved to Long Beach, January of 2020, a fun year. And I actually started my HRT pills on the way to my apartment because I promised my wife I would do it after I left. And so that was January 5th, 1999 is when I started transition.
Yeah. So when you start taking the HRT, do you feel that you are aligned? Because when I start taking it, I actually feel very happy, like relieved in a way. Yes. And well, some people say there's a side effect with emotional attack or some sort, right. But I actually didn't feel that. Yeah. I feel like, oh, this is me, and I feel okay, and I'm more confident. Do you feel some sort of that way too?
I remember hearing stories about how people felt kind of a peace and a wholeness, and so I really longed for that. I wanted for that because I was that time I was realizing I didn't have that, and so I knew that if I didn't have that, I probably wasn't trans enough, and even though I don't think that, I wouldn't counsel anyone like that anymore, but. Within 3 days, I felt totally different. I had a peace, a calmness. Yes. I found myself whistling, just to myself. I'm like, what is this?
Singing.
And singing, yes. And just this new level of happiness that I never knew was possible. And so for me, that was affirmation within a couple of days of, man, my body really wanted this. This is how I best operate. This aligns things that needed to be aligned. Right. And so, yeah, it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. I love the HRT process.
Yeah, awesome. So right now we're going to switch to, so with your transitioning story, and then now you're owning your business, and it's called Trans Owned. Yes. It's like a directory for trans people's business.
Correct.
Like, where's this idea come from? How do you inspire to start this business?
I was a social worker by trade. That's kind of what I did in ministry, and then had a job at a health clinic downtown Los Angeles. That's the job I took, stepping out of ministry, knowing that at some point probably transition was in the process, and I would not be able to do that in ministry. So I had the background of working with people, helping people, and part of that included some entrepreneur training that I've done in the past within our city. And it was amazing. We saw some great results, and it was very rewarding to do. And so I always knew I wanted to do my own. I was always entrepreneurial in that way. Yes. That came out a lot in our ministry and different programs we did. But the story is kind of silly, but I was looking for a trans t-shirt. Once I was out and I was trying to go through the process of reestablishing a wardrobe. And, I found a few trans shirts at that time, but I always wanted, who owns these shops? I really would like to buy something from a trans-owned place and to support our community and build it. This may be some cis person, and that's fine. They can sell stuff, of course, but I really wanted to think that. So there has to be something out there that lists different trans businesses, and I couldn't find anything. And I found kind of the best thing I found was our local LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce, which had a listing of a lot of people from outside of the area, but nothing indicated if they're trans or not. They were just at least allies as part of the community.
Yeah, so your directory listing, is it national-wide or worldwide?
Yeah, it is national and global. Okay. Currently, I'm not sure there's anyone international. I'm talking to people internationally. Okay. I think we have one member right now that is international. So TransOwn is an online business directory at transown.co, and that is an access to any trans-owned or non-binary owned business that can get into the catalog. And so there will be one place that we can see all of our businesses, or at least most of our businesses.
If I want to join, how can I just go to that website?
Yes, transzone.co.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a tab called Join, very appropriately. And there's free memberships all the way to featured member, and you get different bells and whistles as a member. As I was building this out, I knew I wanted to be something more than just a directory. And that's when the entrepreneur training I had done in the past kind of came in. And so what we're doing is we're creating an adjacent online community. So all the paid members of the directory will be part of this community, and there'll be courses, workshops, different events, maybe like business insurance expert, real estate expert, talking to all of our business owners and make it available to help them grow in their understanding in their business. And so there'll be primarily business, but also personal development growth in this community. And the goal is for learning, but of also inspiration and collaboration, that we can work together and maybe have some businesses do things together, but also just develop this kind of a codependence or an interdependence with each other, kind of an ecosystem of positivity and support and connection.
For example, if let's say right now I'm in real estate business, and I might need a website, for example, or I need to do a podcast show. I need somebody, cross path their business services. So that's a very great idea. Also, I want to ask you, because I'm kind of similar like you. Like I said, we were talking about it, we kind of hit it off. Do you see anything that's in common or some sort of trait between entrepreneurship and trans people?
Yes, I do, as a matter of fact. I just was writing about this the other day, that the national average of people that are entrepreneurial in the population nationally is 7%. In the trans community, it's 18%. Now, there's a lot of variables for that. A lot of times because we have to, maybe there's issues of hiring, and certainly we know the stories of hostile work environments and not acceptance, and even being fired for being trans, and like we've talked about with some of that legislation. But there is more entrepreneur nature, and I think trans people make the best entrepreneurs for a couple of reasons. One is that we know what it feels like to not have support, and a lot of us
feel alone.
So feeling alone, out there doing the thing, being self-motivated. We know that. We're aware of those feelings. Also, we know what it takes to make something from nothing, or kind of just reinvent and pivot your business. That's something we've done quite a bit in the past. And there's strength in our community. There's strength in communities across the world, but our community is unique in the sense that we share a very difficult, if not traumatic, experience that really uniquely links us together. And that's something that can really be used as motivation and expertise in starting a business.
Yeah. So do you think people who wants to start to do their own business or become their own boss, do you have any tips or hacks? In general, like do you need to prepare yourself emotionally, or you need to have some sort of saving first?
Sure, that would be nice. I think a lot of our businesses are bootstrapped, but that's where we start anyway. I think the toughest thing is simply getting started. And so I would encourage someone, if they have an idea, there's different ways of validating that idea, and there's different kind of processes to go through to systematize your business. But I think the most important thing is simply getting started. Do something. Go talk to someone. Begin to ask questions of what population may use the product or service that you have. And just talk to people and get the ball rolling. You don't have to have the best website. You don't have to have the best product in the final phase. That's all perfect. There's MVP, a minimum viable
just like
product.
I'm doing this podcast show.
Exactly.
We're
how we live our
sucks at
lives.
first, right? I understand. Yeah, and then plus, I also want to add is there's a lot of YouTube videos or other podcasts that you can learn from. That's where I started actually during COVID, and then I started reading a lot of books and stuff. So it really helps. And yeah, so what other goals you have coming up for your business?
Right.
I heard you're gonna start some other side business,
Yeah.
like the map that you creating. Can you share that with us too?
Yeah, I have a few other little projects on the side. Transzone is kind of the main focus. Although it's probably not a full-time job. I mean, it will be in the future, but not at this point. But what will and hopefully help in the future to pay my bills is I've started a branding agency and social media management. And so it's called flourishsocial.co. And that's something where I can just interact with business owners that help them everywhere from trying to figure out who they are as a business with their unique identity, what is unique about them compared to competitors, getting that graphically represented on paper, but also in messaging and positioning where they need to be in the market. And then we can kind of take the burden off them for their social media. And personally, I know how difficult it is just with our own accounts. You know, it gets monotonous and there's a million other things to do. And sometimes social media can take, exactly. So, absolutely. Yeah. And so that's something that we can take the burden off business owners. I know business owners do some things really good, but they don't do everything really good.
Yeah, it's a team sport.
Right, exactly. Exactly. And then I have a little e-commerce website called mycitymaps.co. Okay. For some reason, I like the .co extension. But it's just a little place where you can go and customize your own map of your city or your wedding space, engagement, your favorite date, a bucket list item. You can make a customized wall map for it. And so with different designs. So it's kind of, I bought that and established out on my own domain there.
Yeah. So we're going to have all the links in the show note that she mentioned are related to her business.
Okay, thank you.
So now we're closing up. I'm going to invite Michelle back to do some, like, as a guest host with me. So you want to tell like the audience, like what kind of topic that we might do it together in the future?
Yeah. I think my passion is community building, but then also helping empower this entrepreneur spirit.
Yes.
I would love to see women across the board, queer women and trans women, of course, understanding their giftings and what they can bring to the table, and then how to monetize that, how to make that a business, a sustainable business for them, to have a sense of self-empowerment, the self-decision-making where you're in charge of things. Yes. It's not hard. This is the easiest time in history. I mean, let me rephrase it. It is very hard, but this is the easiest time in history to start with what we have with different platforms and internet available. Yes. So I am really committed to helping our community establish businesses, grow together and grow. And I think there's a lot of areas we're strong in community, but if we can come together linked as businesses and as a business commit to building into our community, I mean, we'll be unstoppable. It'll be very, very exciting and powerful time.
Awesome. Hi, Michelle. Happy Pride.
Hi, Shelby. Happy Pride. It is June.
Yes. So when we're recording this episode, it's beginning of June. There's a lot of activities, festivals going around the city.
It's happening.
Yeah.
It's a great time to be in Long Beach.
Yes. So today we're going to talk about money, right?
Yes.
Money talks.
Yes, exactly. We wanted to look a little bit in depth of kind of the financial situation that our community is in, LGBTQ in general, but specifically with our trans siblings.
Right.
And what's happening, how did COVID affect that?
Yes.
And just kind of look at just trying to figure out what the reality is. And there's a few reasons we're going to do this. First is because we have to know the reality if we want to try to solve something, right? Yes, you have to know the problem if you're going to move forward with something. So we wanted to kind of take this in depth a little bit.
And by pointing out those issues and problems, we're going to also share our own experience.
Yes.
And see how can we overcome those struggles or problem issues.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happened is a lot of immigrants, including my family, when we first come here, we don't speak any English. Okay. So the only thing to survive, to make money, is to open business, small business.
Right.
So I grew up involved in small business family, restaurant, Chinese restaurant. So I see how my parents work so hard. Like their hours is like, oh my gosh, 12, 15 hours. So I was grow up as a microwave kid, meaning there's no,
because your mom's busy,
they're busy and all that. So that's why so this is one of the reasons we are doing this, and for our community, and also for, dreamers. We all come here.
Yeah, the intersection of not only cultural issues, but then also gender identification, sexual attraction, all those things on top. It just adds more layers to that issue.
Right. So, and the third one we're going to point out, the reason we're doing this is because we just had pandemic, and actually it's still here. It's not going away.
Numbers are going up again.
Yeah. So a lot of people, I say a lot of people run into trouble, health, or financial, but there's a lot of people also have a benefit of the event. Yeah. So if you are affected by the pandemic, then we can, talk about it, and we have some solution based on yours and my experience on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good. And then the final reason we want to do this is to kind of bring us together. We want to unite businesses. We want to help encourage businesses to develop their DEI, their diversity, inclusion, and equity programs, lobby to hire more trans people, more LGBTQ people. We want to encourage our own community to start their own businesses, to create jobs, just to really bring our community together, unite them financially from the backbone of business, so that we can be as strong of a community as possible.
Yeah. Yes. So, you did some research on the numbers and to prove that we are facing these issues, and there's like top 11 points that we can talk about.
There are a number of issues, and we looked at a few studies, and we have those in the website if you want to go for more details. But based on different issues that our community faces, first is discrimination. 42% of the people in LGBTQ communities reported having been discriminated against just because of their sexual orientation. And so on the video, we're going to look through these numbers and have them on the screen. But if you're listening to us on a podcast where that's not visual, feel free to go to our YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see these numbers. And also on our website, we will have links to the sources of all this information.
Yeah. So discrimination is a very, very big issue for trans people, LGBTQ people. Oftentimes, we heard, somebody decided to transition and they get fired, or they not get accepted and they, lost their jobs.
Yeah, we think of several people we had on the show already.
Yes.
Catherine being one of them, Carrie having issues, really all of us to some extent. Yes. Right.
Yeah. So this is a major issue. So we're going to point out all the issues, and we'll talk about how to resolve it.
Yes, exactly.
So
the number that kind of stood out for me was 78% of trans people have faced discrimination at some level. So that's, we hear the number 42%, a lot of 41% in terms of been with suicide ideation, but a number this huge is very significant, and kind of really helps us frame the struggle that we all face on a daily basis with a number that large, 78%.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one is unemployment. The trans community average unemployment rate is about 16% right now, which is 3 times the U.S. general population. So we 3 times higher are people out of work. And so we obviously know a lot of those reasons because of hostile work environments, not being in a safe enough place to come out. Maybe you're in an industry that is very male dominated or just unsafe, period. Then just do something like this would be really difficult and challenging.
I was holding a job before I fully transitioned, and I got fired for no reason. But I wasn't really dressed up to work at that time, but my hair was long. And I lost weight, tried to look more slim. and again, no reason, and then just
Wow.
no in advance notice at all. Like
Wow.
usually say 2 weeks notice or something.
You have to
It
wonder.
yeah, see. So
Right.
and I was about to turn in the letter
Oh, okay.
saying I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna start.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I too bad, and
Wow. Yeah.
yeah. But unemployment is also a very major issue
Yeah,
for us.
exactly.
Yes.
I have several friends online that I think about that have lost jobs or have just so much discrimination in what they currently have that they're looking for something else. So maybe they don't lose it by being terminated or letting go or laid off or anything, but
Right.
because of its unsafe place, they have to find something else. So
Yeah.
yeah. Then another interesting number is self-employment. The national average for entrepreneurs in our country is about 7%. But in our community, it's 18% is self-employed, which is very interesting. I think there's reasons why we are good entrepreneurs, but I think underlining this is we have to create our own stuff because some of the places that we've existed in before is not safe.
Yeah. So just like the last unemployment number is kind of just kind of carry to self-employment.
Yes.
Because if you unemployment or cannot get a job,
Right.
so the only way you can do is create something like
Exactly.
this.
Right.
Yeah. So so just like the example I give you about immigration. So we came here, we don't know anyone, we don't know English.
Yeah.
So the only way we can do is open business.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Do it yourself. Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And then that process, you learn so much doing that and simulate, was the way your family has been able
Yes,
to.
that's what I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I think being the founder of TransZoned and knowing and being able to communicate and with the businesses that have joined so far, it's amazing the breadth of things that we have from landscaping to owning frame shops to candle making to counseling to life coaching. I mean, just such a wide range of unique, creative, wonderful things that our community is doing. So that's something that excites me a lot to see all the different things we're doing.
Yeah, everybody comes from different walks of life, experience. Sometimes a lot of fields I never know, and I just jump into it. So,
exactly.
Yeah, I learn as we
Exactly.
go. Yeah, so.
Exactly. This was a big number here.
Oh, wow.
The
32%.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Transgender employees make 32% less than their cis counterparts. And so, again, there's a lot of reasons that we can unpack here, but this is a huge number. This is something that should make us all step back a little bit and say, wow, with what we faced this last year, or actually the last 3, 4, 5 years, and seeing that this number still exists in the workplace is amazingly sad.
Yeah, I think one major reason is because, just the previous reason, unemployment, discrimination. If you let's say I have a tech experience, like Tani was saying.
Right.
I have tech experience. I want to go back to tech after I transition, but they don't want me.
Right. Exactly.
So the only way to survive is like what I did before.
Yeah.
Try Uber, deliver DoorDash, and and I know some other girls or guys, they work in a grocery store.
Right.
So those are minimum wage.
It's
pay.
funny that you said that because in one of the studies I was reading, they brought out that trans people are 3 times more likely to work in a convenience or grocery store than the rest of the population.
Yeah, I think that's the reason why, because we get pushed down.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can only make minimum wage.
Right.
That's why that number is so high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right. And then we all know how COVID-19 has affected us individually, but as a community, it's been pretty devastating across. The highlighted one, there's the LGBTQ people of color are 44% more likely to take a cut in work hours, and trans people were 125% more likely to do so. So whether the business was open or closed, whatever their COVID protocol was, our community took the biggest hit in terms of those loss of hours.
Yeah, I think it's back to the last one because the job that we we can get, it's just, it can be replaced by anybody.
Right.
So that's why that number is so high, because if you work in a grocery store, if there's no business or the business not open, then they will let you go and they can find somebody tomorrow.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's why the number is high. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Since COVID-19, LGBTQ households are more likely to live in poverty. And this number was 28% of trans individuals are more likely to earn less than $25,000 a year. So 28% of our population is basically at or below the line of poverty for our country. Mm-hmm. And the general population is 14%, as you can see there.
Yeah. So, same reason, I think what we just talked about, discrimination, unemployment, pay gap, and that's why it's all pushing down to make less.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole reason.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Another one here, 50% of trans individuals report that it's been difficult to pay for usual household expenses. This is since June of 2020 is when this status is come out. And I know for me, some of my personal finances struggled this year. There was some effect of COVID, but I don't know for me in particular it was necessarily because I'm trans, more that I got sick with COVID. I was out for 5 weeks and my company only paid for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. And so I was out okay. I didn't lose my job or anything, but I didn't get paid. And then I missed probably another on and off 5 weeks because of headaches that I had from COVID. Right. And luckily those are all gone now, but I lost a lot of work and I got behind on my bills. And this year for me, kind of stepping out and starting my own business financially, that kind of put me at a little bit of a disadvantage because I was already in the hole when I was trying to actually launch and do my own thing. So it was challenging. And then fear. This is another big one that I think is we all can relate to no matter what background we're coming from in our community. About half, 50.4% of LGBT workers in the U.S. are not out to their supervisors. 1/4, 25%, are not out to anyone at work. Comfortability with coming out can differ from gender and rank. And so men are more likely to be out at 80%, and women are 58% likely to be out across the LGBTQ community. Right. And this was interesting. Seniors are 80% more likely to be out than junior employees, which are 32%. So I think that's probably they have some seniority. They've been there longer. Right. They know how the corporation culture works. Yes. And so, but yeah. And then these were some tough numbers to read. As a white person, I know that part of my responsibility in being anti-racist is to speak up for the Black community and specifically the Black trans community. But these numbers were staggering. Black trans had an extremely high unemployment rate at 26%, 2 times the rate of the overall transgender population, but 4 times the rate of the general population. And 41% of Black trans people said they had experienced homelessness at some point in their lives, more than 5 times the national average. And so those numbers are they are staggering, and we know that so many of our Black brothers and sisters are in trouble. Right. And I also noticed just people of color in general, they also have a lot of business owner on their own. Yes, exactly. I think it's because of all the same reasons that we're facing. So there's no, that's the only way they can survive. Exactly. Yeah, so. Yes. And we do see a lot of people talking about their small businesses online, even some GoFundMe campaigns that have come out to help Black trans housing and things. So I want to encourage everyone, if you can, if you're coming from a place of means or a place of resource, feel free, do give back to those, use those venues or those vehicles in order to help our community. But also, this being Pride Month, if you're buying your Pride gear, look for the Black or the people of color trans creators online. Yeah. The T-shirts, there's tons of amazing stuff out there. Yes. And you can look at another plug, but transzone.co for these businesses. But just search online. There's so many great things out there. Yeah. So these are one of the ways that we can help provide for our community internally.
Yes. So now we're going to talk about how to solve those problems.
Yes.
Like you and I had some experience of solving some of those problems that we just mentioned.
Right.
Yeah. So let's say starting from pandemic, I didn't lose my job, but my 9 to 5 at that time, still 9 to 5 right now, same one, but it was cut to part-time.
Right.
And my boss was not very comfortable for us to work from home.
Yeah.
So because
Gotcha.
she's more old school, more
Gotcha.
so she doesn't have the sense of controlling.
Yes.
That's why.
Right.
But the good part is I was able to learn a lot of stuff during those times that I worked part time, and just like you know how like when you drive to your streets or anywhere, have you ever drive somewhere and then you walk one time and you discover a lot of different
totally,
things?
yes. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, including myself, that's what happened because we were always in the rat race.
Yeah.
We run,
Right.
go, but we never stop and look around and see, So that's what happened to me because I was nothing to do and think of what can I do, So I started reading and reading really opened my mind to many different things.
Okay.
Yeah. So
First of all, the things you read.
Well, first of all, this can be related to you too because we talk about unemployment.
Yes. So
in today's world, in society, a lot of stuff or a lot of jobs or career are on uncertainty, especially today, right now, because the inflations and all that. So what I discover is side hustles because from school we learn we go to school, get a good grade, and we find a good job. Right. So what since because I got cut part-time, so I have to find some different ways of, make it up for my expense.
Right.
So I started a lot of side hustles. Yeah, which is also open to a lot of opportunities. So like yourself, you have Transom, and you have now you got a license.
I'm switching up a little bit into financial services.
Right.
Yeah,
so congrats. Right. Yeah. So and all other guests that we interview, everybody's doing a lot of different things.
Right.
So one solution to unemployment, or even if you are self-employed, you can branch out to different niches, different spaces. Yeah. So doing podcasts, even though it's been very long dream that I want to do, but pandemic make it happen for me. Yeah. So because I learned all those stuff, that knowledge that I read from the book, so I can talk about it today.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So besides that, I also we talk about financial. So I also came across some, I won't say trick, but ways that I've been doing for the last 2 years. Yeah. Okay. So I want to share with you guys. But then I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm just sharing what I've been doing. It's working. So you always need to consult financial advisor on this. Yeah. So the first thing I learned is it's called pay yourself first.
Pay yourself
first. Yeah. What that means is a lot of time we want to invest, we want to do something else with our money, but a lot of time we heard, I don't have money, right? Or I'll wait until I can make $100,000, right? Exactly. So it's like we always chasing. Yeah. Meaning if we really get to 100,000 a year, we probably gonna say, oh, let's wait until 200,000. Exactly. Yeah, because and then we will never, because I have a lot of friends that's older than me. Mm-hmm. They're baby boomers, and I'm not putting anybody down, but it's reality that a lot of baby boomers, they are at the age to retire right now, but they can't because they don't have retirement.
Exactly.
They don't have saving or investments. So they have to keep working. So I tell myself I do not want to work at Walmart when I'm 65. Exactly. So so I find this is very helpful. Pay yourself.
So how does that work? Does that mean setting aside money for investing? Or
how does it work is every time I get paid, I will take let's say W-2 wage, right? W-2 incomes. I will take 20% out before I pay credit card, utility, rent, and everything. Just kind of like this is the expense that you have to pay.
Yes,
and it's called W-2. We get our money after tax.
Right.
So just imagine your tax is 20% more.
Right.
So this is money. So what I did is I take out 20%, and I put I take 65% and put in IRA. Okay. Maybe not that much per paycheck, but imagine if this is like a system or strategy, if I keep doing this over time.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So IRA. So and then I put 15% towards crypto. If you believe in crypto, a lot of people scared of crypto. So I believe in crypto is the future, and I believe the blockchain.
Yes.
Okay.
Blockchain
technology. And 10% I invest to real estate stuff.
Okay.
Real estate, this is not like the actual physical real estate. It's more like REITs.
Yes.
Meaning like a fund that everyone contribute, and they buy properties or rental with your money.
Fractional shares.
Yes. So
what are some of those websites?
One is fundraise.
Yes,
I will put it down in the in the show note. Yeah. So and then IRA, I have it with Fidelity.
Okay.
But we have Catherine that they can help.
Exactly.
Yeah.
LGBTQ I invest.
Yeah. So we will put her information.
Yes.
At the show note. And last 10%, I put I save it in a saving as a cash.
Cash. Okay.
Yeah. So this number it's based on age, because if let's say if I'm 20, still in my 20s, I might not be not saving any cash, because cash has inflation, right?
Yes.
So you save cash 20 years ago, it's nothing today, right? So and then if you go if your age is higher, like say 60. Then your cash, you want to have more cash and less IRA.
Okay.
Yeah. So when you're younger, your IRA should be higher. Okay. So that way you have time to compound. Yeah.
Right. And get the tax advantages there.
Right. And this is for W-2 employments. Mm-hmm. And I also, like we say, we have side hustles and all that. So if you are 1099 or any sort of freelancing, or any business, you run a business. Mm-hmm. Usually business, my writing is bad. Usually business is no tax. So whatever comes into your pocket, it's not tax deductible yet. Yeah. So what I do with that income is I break it down like similar. So I take 35%. 35%. Put this in as a tax reserve, in case I need to pay tax. Okay. And this goes back to business budget. Okay. And then I pay myself 30%. Okay. Yeah. And with this, what I do is I put 20% buying stocks. And these stocks are more like an individual stock. Okay. Like if you believe in Amazon, Tesla, those individual account. On top of here, IRA, It's also stock, but it's more like it's called ETF.
Yes.
It's a holding company that holds S&P 500 companies.
Right. Okay.
So you have less risk. That's why I put it in my retirement account.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And for the stock, individual stock, it's more risky. Like it can go up and down, up and down. So you have to have a very good mindset when you do this, because it's a lot of people fearful. So when they see it go down, they sell it, they lose money.
Exactly.
So if it goes down, if you don't sell it, you're actually not losing money. And another thing is mindset. You know how every time there's discounts or sales in department store, everybody run towards it.
Right.
But when Amazon stock is going down on sale, everybody run away from it. See? So that's the big difference here. So that's why when you do any type of investment, you have to have a good mindset. Like crypto it's crashing right now.
It's a good time to buy right now.
Yeah, it's a good time to buy right now. You buy low, sell high.
Right.
So the book that I read, and Rich Dad Poor Dad, he mentioned when you buy investment to determine if you're going to make money is when you buy, not when you sell.
Right.
Yeah. So
good. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So, and another 10% from here, I invest into gold.
Okay.
Gold. Yeah. The physical gold. Yeah. I'll put a link in the show note. This is very unique because I put 10% a little bit, and it adds up until your money add up can afford to buy gold.
Okay.
And it's online. It's not really go in the store and then you buy gold and bring it home.
Exactly.
So
put it into your mattress.
Yeah. So this gold is not to make money or anything, because gold is more like how do you call it? Hedge for inflation?
Yes. Hedge.
Yeah, hedge. Yes. Yeah. Hedge for inflation. So gold has been centuries, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah, so this is what I've been doing with my financial, and it's working. So I just share with you guys.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
that's some really good practical steps there. Thank you so much for laying that out. This is some goals for you to build to. Get your bills paid off, get out of debt as much as possible, create that emergency account that you may need. Yeah. And then you can really focus on developing wealth and growing. Or I love the thought, or the philosophy, but the thought of your money working for you, as opposed to you just working for money.
Right. And you're right. You have to save emergency fund. I missed that part. I do save emergency fund for 6 to 12 months.
Oh, that's
not
good.
More than, don't say more than 12 months, otherwise you're losing value on the cash.
Yeah.
And also on the, if you can see tax reserve, a lot of time, as you know, as a business owner, you have a lot you can write off.
Right.
So a lot of time, I don't want IRS come to me, but a lot of time after the write-off, I don't have to pay too much tax. Doesn't, not 35%. Right. So all of those money can distribute back to myself, and it's not taxable.
Right.
Or I can go on vacation.
Yes.
It's like a dividend for me. Or
exactly.
Yeah. So
exactly what it is.
Yeah. And then now I'm actually saving it for real estate down payment on this portion for.
I know a good real estate agent.
Thank you. Yeah. So what about you? What do you have any tips and hacks?
Well, financially for me, it has been a very difficult year. Mm-hmm. And I wish I knew what I knew now a few months earlier, because now I'm learning about the products where you can roll over, for example, like roll over your 403B or 401k and get a bonus of 20 to 35%. And some really amazing products that are out there. Right. But I didn't do that. I took that out for my business loan. Right. And so right now I have no retirement. I took it all off. Okay. And so now it's been really rebuilding. And so that helped me get incorporated, the business established, and cost of living, regular living expenses. And now I'm trying to step in to having some income and kind of building that back up and building that emergency fund, and then get into a program that you've laid out here. So.
Yeah. So to solve one of the issue that we're facing, unemployment,
Yes.
Or pay gap.
Pay gap, right?
Yeah. So the best one of the best way is have your own business, generate income. You can still, like myself, I still work 9 to 5, but I have my own
Yes.
business.
Yeah.
That's gonna protect if anything, if you knock on wood, if I get laid off or fired for whatever reason, I have my own business to fall back on. Another thing we can all improve, like yourself as well, is skill set. Because during COVID, I learned a lot of new things through YouTube or books. It's very available out there right now. So, so if you want to change career, you can look into that. New skill sets.
Google is offering some amazing courses now for a low or no cost that you can totally get certified to change careers from anything to something that's very computer focused, that is your skill set that you can develop right there. And so it's really just an amazing time to be able to figure out things that you're interested in. Yeah,
there's some website like Teachable. There's many different individual people share what they know. Can be from like tech or language too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so
or starting a small business or reading or languages, anything. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. Well, we just want to encourage you to know the reality of where we are as a community in order to help grow. And so we need a lot of individual financially stable members that will help us grow and become financially successful across the board. And it is time, and there's things against us. There's, kind of some societal trends now that are making it more difficult than it should be. But working together, I think we can accomplish a lot.
Yeah, because if you're financial independent or stable, you are able to give more.
Absolutely.
So not just about money, but time. When you're not struggling, when you're not stressed out or depressed, you have the time to help others and do all that. Yeah. And another thing, I usually don't get into politics stuff too much, but another thing I heard from actually a LGBT chambers of commerce in Long Beach. One time we have a meeting and this guy, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, the mayor of Signal Hill.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's the mayor of Signal Hill. So one thing I want to say is, if we want to change the world of how the policy is doing, we need to be in office. So by doing that, we need to improve ourselves, skill set, knowledge, financial, everything. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So
exactly right.
Yeah. So,
and for us, and probably for many other states, voting is next week. And so be sure you're getting out there. You're being vocal for what you believe our community needs. And so we need your voice in that. So together we are stronger than we are individually. We welcome conversations with starting your own business, more of these stats that we went over today. Coming together as a community is important. And together we can stand longer and stronger than we can by ourselves. And so let's take this time, unite, come together. This is a great month to do this in Pride. Focus and make sure you're supporting our own businesses. Make sure that you are learning how and taking the steps to become financially stable yourself.
Yes, financial literacy is very important.
Yes.
Knowledge. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
And we'll have more guest speakers come in that can highlight more of these issues that we're talking with. So thank you for listening. Again, in the show notes on the website, you'll have the resources, or the sources, rather, I keep saying resources, the sources of all this data that we went over. But we welcome conversation and feedback, and subscribe, click all that fun stuff. Help us to get the word out even longer.
Yes. Thank you for watching, listening, and we'll be back next time.
All right. See you
Happy
later.
Pride.
Bye-bye.
Bye.